Well, good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is Brendan Derone. I'm CEO and managing partner with E4 Insurance Services. Welcome you to the Brew, building relationships every week. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you joining the Brew for the first time, we like to start the Brewcast by celebrating today's national days. Today happens to be National Dream Destination Day, National Hug a Musician Day, and World Kindness Day. So I would suggest that you figure out what your dream destination is, get in the car, hop on a plane, ride a bike, however you're going to get there, uh, and show an act of kindness by hugging a musician. So hope there's a mariachi band or something, something going on where you can hug a musician. On today's brew, we continue our November focused planning series, Long-Term Care Awareness Month. My friend and RVP at E4, Jeremy Vidmar, will jump into a unique case study to show how you can create a plan that guarantees your client's needs, wants, and concerns are met. As your clients get closer and closer to retirement, the conversation changes from accumulation to needs, wants, and concerns when they say goodbye to the 8 to 5. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions. And as a reminder, all attendees will be entered into a drawing for a CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card. We'll announce that winner at the end. Thank you for tuning in. And Jeremy, thank you for joining us presenting today.
You bet. Thank you, Brendan, for the introduction. Thank you all for coming. I think Brendan picked the Hug a Musician Day because he wanted to get more hugs today. For those of you who don't know, Brendan is a musician still. If I was in the same place, I'd give you a hug today. Setting this
I'll take a
case
virtual
study.
hug.
Okay, I'll do that later. Setting this kind of case study up, just wanted to share a little bit of the backstory, if you will. So we had Tom Hegna come to the BBT. I believe that was back in September in Fargo, and he presented a number of things, a number of pieces of info that I gleaned from it. But there was one thing that kind of sat in my gut, if you will, afterwards, and that was the study that he showed about how creating longevity, creating guarantees for our clients, literally creates life, longevity in our clients, years in our clients. And so that was something that really stuck with me when I walked away from that. When we plan with these guarantees in place, we literally add years to our client's life, and I think that's something that we all need to kind of look at and think about. And then the second thing that happened was after I got back from that event, I had a conversation with one of my friends. He's in his early 60s. His wife is in early 60s. They're looking at retiring here in the next few years. And he came to me and we were having a conversation. He said, Jeremy, my financial advisor has run through all of the scenarios, has done the Monte Carlo, has done the budgeting, has done everything, and said, you're going to be fine. You can spend this much in retirement. You can go on these, these kind of vacations every year. We can allocate this much money to this and this. You guys can buy the house that you're looking at moving into, and everything is going to be fine. But there was still something in the pit of his stomach. And as I pressed him on it, he was still just concerned. He was afraid and he lacked peace of mind thinking about how he was going to spend his money in retirement, and was there going to be enough for them to live the way that they wanted to live in retirement. So with those two things, many of us come into the business with liking to look at numbers. We like to look at spreadsheets. We like to look at the math to figure out how this is going to work out, make the projections. But as we progress in our careers, we realize that what we're really creating for our clients and what we're trying to create is peace of mind, especially as they approach retirement. So that's the way that I kind of developed this case study or came up with this scenario, if you will. This is going to be an interactive part here, Brendan. So I'm going to need you to answer some questions for me. So my question that I always ask advisors is, when your client gets to that 5 years from retirement, that retirement red zone, whatever you want to call it, how does the conversation change?
Well, they start paying a whole lot more attention. They care
Start
what we
paying.
have to say.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I'm assuming you're looking for the little more concerned about the long-term care event on the horizon.
Well, it's true. We're going to talk about that, but I'd say, we're going up the mountain before that. We're talking about
Oh, get
accumulation, and
now
now
we
we're
got a
talking about
decumulation
come
or getting down.
we're coming down the mountain. How do we do that, and how do we do that well? So we're talking to clients. The conversation changes from accumulating to what are my needs, what are my wants, and what are my concerns, right? I think that's pretty fair.
Would
So,
agree.
Brendan, I want you to take a sticky note or a notepad or something that you got in front of you, and I want you to write three numbers down, okay? And you can all do the same thing that are listening. And so again, we're going to use a client. I'll kind of set this up a little bit. We're going to use a client. They might not be your top tier clients. They're not your bottom clients. These are going to be like probably your A minus clients, I'd say. 60-year-old clients, 5 years before they're going to retire, and they have $2 million of investable assets between their 401k, IRA, non-qualified, 2 million bucks. So the numbers I want you to write down, you probably just wrote down 2 million. The first one is after you guys have done the planning, you've determined that they need after Social Security and pension, they need $30,000. So write 30,000, and I want you to write need next to that.
Check.
In the meetings that you have, okay, in the meetings that you have with them, you've also determined that they have a legacy want of $1 million. So they want to leave $1 million to their kids. And then as the month of long-term care, they have a concern. Their concern is long-term care is going to derail the whole plan. So we're going to use a number of $192,000 and write concern next to that. So just in case uh, you didn't do that properly, Brendan, this is what it should look like. You see that? No.
Yes, I see it.
All right.
I also wrote down 2 million and 60-year-old couple.
Wow, look at you. So that's what it should look like. So my question to you, if we were going to reposition part of their portfolio, this $2 million, how much would it cost to guarantee these three things, this need, this want, and this concern? If we wanted to create, and I know you're an insurance brain, so you're probably going to get the number right on, but gut, what does your gut tell you? If we wanted to create $30,000 annually, and that's going to be from the time they turn 65 until they're dead, they're going to get $30,000 annually. We're going to have $1 million to their kids. And if they need long-term care on a joint basis, we could provide $192,000 annually.
That's a lot of different questions. And you want me to give you one number?
I want you to give me one number.
How about $28,000 a year?
Ooh, nope, we're repositioning it. We're going to do it all in a lump sum.
Oh, a lump sum. Uh, providing 30,000, a million, 992. I don't know, 450K.
Oh, man. To get $1 million of death benefit, $30,000 annually, and $192,000 a year?
Why don't you give me the number, Jeremy? We could play this game a long time. I think we
40%,
covered. I think we covered. I'm a
40%,
40%. That's 800.
$800,000 is what it would take. I was actually surprised by that when I ran these numbers because, again, I was coming from this, how could we create peace of mind for a client if it's going to take 40% of their portfolio? But we could create something that guarantees these three things. I thought it was a pretty reasonable number. I mean, and I've gotten all kinds of answers from it. Some people say it takes the whole thing. Some people say $400,000. But when you really break it down, 40% of their portfolio is what you'd have to use. Um, I think there's a couple of things that I would say about this. What are the results of this? Like, what does this do for your client? Again, you create peace of mind, you create longevity. You literally would add years to your client's life potentially. Um, But the nuts and bolts of it as well, what do you have left? You have $1.2 million in their portfolio that you're managing, and now you have the opportunity to manage that more aggressively, create more income as they age and the cost of living goes up. Now, I know that to your point, Brendan, as well, like more often than not, you're not going to do a single premium to create the plan for all of this. You can do multi-pay on a few of these different options, but for the sake of the conversation, if we were going to lump sum, let's say that we saw $800,000 go out the door. The the one thing that I always like to ask advisors as well is when do we lose relationships?
At
So
a
Brendan,
death.
when do at a death? Yep. That's statistically, we know that that's true, that advisors lose relationships when one of the spouses dies. I was surprised. Uh, one of the guys that I talked to, one of the advisors, he says, I lose clients when the annuity salesman shows up. And kind of pressing him on that a little bit, you have all of these clients who are turning 65. You've seen them, or you've received the postcard in the mail to come to the seminar, or you've seen the commercials on TV that say, this guy's going to put on the seminar. So your clients are getting a barrage of marketing material for them to come to these seminars. And what are they doing? They're presenting ideas like this. How do we create lifetime income? How do we create legacy planning? How do we create long-term care protection? I'd say your clients are going to church, they're going to exercise class, they're going to coffee, and their friends are talking to them about what they have gone to. And they say, hey, by the way, I hope you don't mind. At the end of the seminar, he asked if I would write down 3 names of people that he could contact. So now your client's on somebody else's list as a prospect. Um, the other thing that I would say and exactly, statistically, we know that when clients leave, it's when a spouse dies. So typically, the way that it works is the husband dies first. The wife now gets statements, and she says what? She says, I need somebody to help me with this. She doesn't necessarily have a strong relationship with a financial advisor. And so she goes to her children and she says, hey, can you help me with this son, daughter? They say, absolutely, mom. By the way, I have a guy that I work with. I think we should go talk to him and see if we can get some different advice, a second opinion. So with a plan like this, the thing that I think is just not only are you creating peace of mind for the client, but you're really creating a lifetime client for yourself. When the spouse dies, the wife is still going to get $30,000 a year. And she's going to say, hey, Brendan, you put this plan together. Thank you so much. It, it's so peaceful for me to know that this is going to keep coming. If he or she has a long-term care event, who are they coming to help with the claim paperwork?
The
They're coming to
advisor.
you. They're coming to you. And they're saying, can you help me with this plan? And then fast forward, when both of them die, you're now taking $1 million check to their kids and saying, your mom and dad had a goal of leaving money to you. Um, we knew it was really important to them. Here's a check for $1 million. And oh, by the way, if there's something I can help you with, here's my card. I'd love to visit with you. Um, I I guess again, I come to this like with the perspective of creating peace of mind for the client. I think that when you put a plan like this together, there's so many advantages, and I realize that not every client has the same need, wants, and concerns. But even presenting something like this to your clients, it makes them aware that you're aware of how these kind of plans work. So, if you haven't, I mean, I know these numbers, I'm not spelling them out. It's kind of a tease, if you will. If you do have questions or want to run some real scenarios, myself and any of the other RVPs at E4 would be happy to help you with that.
And Jeremy, how do you suggest you bring up the need, want, concern conversation if the client's not doing it themselves?
Um, well, I'm again like I personally think that they're gonna bring it up as retirement gets closer, and like I think Shane Van Patten said on the last week's brew. I mean, make it a part of retirement planning. I mean, part of the checklist when you're getting closer to the retirement age, because we know that this is something that they're thinking about. We know that people are subconsciously feel the knot in the pit of their stomach about what does retirement look like. And we know that these plans are being presented and they're being implemented all over the place. So actively getting comfortable yourself and saying, what are these products, what do these solutions look like? And when you're comfortable enough with it, then you're going to bring it up with your clients in an organic or comfortable way.
So make it part of the plan, part
Yeah,
of the retirement, checklist, red zone, like that. Because I I do agree that, just like DI, a lot of people uh know that they need it, but in some cases, if the advisor doesn't bring it up, they assume that they don't.
right. Yeah, I mean, you are the trusted. I mean, you're the trusted CFO of their finances, if you will. I mean, it's in many ways it's your responsibility to bring it up, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. Uh, as we check the chat for any questions, Jeremy, would you like to pick a number between 1 and 33? You already gave me a bunch of numbers, but I'm going to make you pick one.
23.
23. Steven Sedler is our
All
winner
right.
today.
Congrats, Steven.
Congratulations, Steven. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. And Jeremy, thank you for joining us today. Uh, on next week's brew, we have Greg Mantz, Regional Sales Director for One America, to discuss long-term care. He will touch on the aging demographics, industry trends, stats, solutions, and why a long-term care plan is so important. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week on The Brew.